Dominant podcast and resource for those looking to expand and elevate their health. Every Thursday, you can expect provocative and engaging topics, entertaining interviews, and some of the biggest names in health and wellness. Be prepared for tangible tips and takeaways, and to fully understand what it means to live an optimized and energized life. Hello. Okay, we are starting this episode right away. Hot and nasty. We're getting into it. I have recorded this podcast already, and then, I recorded it yesterday it was Tuesday. I recorded it Tuesday, and I felt so inspired. I was so excited to record, and I just brain dumped. And I think sometimes I do that and I just feel really great afterwards, but in a cathartic way, not in a, oh my gosh, I just provided so much value to you all. It was more, I think that I just needed that emotional purge, if you will, a little sodium purge. I didn't cry, but you know what I'm talking about. Either way, I recorded the podcast yesterday and I spent the morning editing it at a coffee shop, had a great time, decaf latte, extra cinnamon with oat milk. And I listened to it, and at one point I was like, I want to skip to the next part. And then I thought, oh shit, that's me talking. And if I'm thinking that about myself and this most self-indulgent hobby that I have, which is talking into a microphone and hoping to God people listen, I realized if I'm feeling that way, then you all will feel that way. First of all, jumping into the episode, I want to say thank you. I didn't get to have a real Thanksgiving episode, holiday episode. It just didn't feel right to force an episode where I just didn't feel like there was space for it. And I mean, there was physically space for it, but I just didn't feel like I wanted to talk into a mic and bullshit you all until I actually kind of felt inspired or called to. But thank you all so much for continuing to listen to and support the podcast. It is my life's work, and I realize that when we talk about legacies and we talk about really leaving our mark on the world, it's nice to know that if I go tomorrow, then I have this portfolio of work to leave behind and hopefully continue to provide value for people for years to come. So if you're listening to this now and it's one of your first episodes listening, then, or maybe you started listening a couple of weeks ago, months ago, I don't know. But if you go back to day one, even though the audio is crap, I don't know what I was talking about. I said literally every other word. You can tell that it's evolved. The music has evolved, the ads, everything has evolved, and I'm just so appreciative of all of you who have supported and believed in me and believed in the podcast and the vision. And although we don't have, some fucking secret Facebook group, I mean, we do have a Facebook group, but it's not that active just because maybe it's just me. I'm not that into Facebook. Maybe it's my generation, but we have a great community. Let's just say that. We have a great community. And again, if you feel so inclined to show the podcast some support, make sure if you're listening on Spotify, you click the little follow button you're following. If you're listening on iTunes, you have rated us 5 stars and left us a review. You just scroll down on the podcast app. It is so quick and so appreciative. Every week, I get a email from this. It's a website called Chartable, and it shows you where you're charting on the iTunes app, and some weeks I'll be out for the US. If I don't post a podcast that week, then I'm basically out of the rankings. And I think there's a few thousand nutrition specific podcasts on iTunes, and usually we're in the top, anywhere from the top 75 to the top 200, which I'm pumped about. But sometimes I see that we're out because we didn't post a podcast that week. But all of this to say, whenever I get those emails from my rep, I also see the reviews that people have left, and it makes me so happy, especially if I see a name that I don't know. If you have ever considered leaving a review and you're like, it's not that big of a deal, I read them And sometimes I read them out loud. I look back at them again, and it's just because it makes me so happy to know that it's affecting people. So I just want you all to know that y'all are the shit, and I'm so happy to know ya, love ya, talk at ya, all that good stuff. Like I said in the beginning, I recorded this episode yesterday, edited it all this morning, and I thought it had been nagging at me ever since I pushed publish. So I have it all set up to air tomorrow, which is Thursday morning, and I was like, I can't release this episode. There's something about it that is maybe it's just for me. Maybe that episode will stay just for Liza. But it didn't flow the way I wanted it to, and I don't think that it got the message across in the way that I wanted it to. So I think that now I'm in a better headspace where I can be a bit more concise, I can entertain a little bit more, and overall just have a better time. And it's not therapy, basically. So today in the episode, we are going to go through I want to give a brief update on what I've been doing for the past month that has absolutely, it's cracked me wide open, and I have fully realized that all of the work that I have been doing for the past 3.5, 4 years, it's finally coming to fruition. And then at the end of the episode, I want to go through a couple of wellness products that I think are going to be really great for the holidays. If you haven't done any of your holiday shopping, a couple of the brands that I'm talking about, they get the products to you so quickly. And also, let's just be honest here, we're all in that money spending credit card kind of, is being used. We're in that time. So we're like in that, when I worked in sales, they called it Friday buy day because people were just in that Friday mood, and it was easier to spend money. And basically the entire month of November and December are like that. So go ahead and buy yourself a little something, honey, take yourself on a trip, treat yourself. I hate when people say treat yourself and self-care, self-love. It's so true. Like, we need it, but I just think those words are obnoxious. Anyways, let's get into it. If you have been listening to the podcast over the past couple of months, you may have noticed that I haven't been giving as many updates on my life. I haven't really been giving a whole lot of what I've been doing, what I've been eating, what I've been, whatever. Me. It's all been back and forth with the interviews, which is exactly how I want it. If I have a guest on, I want to make sure that they are getting their full attention, and they're able to give as much value as possible to the audience. But I did want to express that I feel like the podcast is a platform where I want to give more of myself and be more show up more fully for the podcast. I want to show up fully everywhere, but this is where I divulge more of my knowledge and my experience and value for you all. And I translate it onto an audio file, hit publish, and you all hopefully listen to it. Whereas on Instagram, it's definitely curated. We have certain verbiage, we have certain photos and graphics and a format that we use, and it's great, but I think that people aren't necessarily reading long form captions anymore, so I'm kind of trying to refigure that out. Engagement is fucking weird on Instagram. Let's just be honest. Some days I'll have thousands of people watching a story, and then the next day it'll be 150, and it's so bizarre. I genuinely don't really know how it works, but if you have on your sensitive content on your settings on Instagram, turn that off. It's so obnoxious. Maybe that's why you're not seeing my stories. Go follow me at ElizaG_wellness. All right, shameless plug is over. But so you may have noticed that I haven't been doing as much of that on Instagram, and I've been wanting to save it more for intentional episodes on the podcast. Hopefully that is something that people will be interested in. If it's not, then still leave 5 stars, but maybe let me know constructive criticism on a review, or you can DM me, whatever, or if you like it, let me know. But over the past few months, I've had a realization. And that realization is that over the past 3.5, 4 years since the passing of my mother, I have been so numb. Numb to the point where the only time I felt real feelings or emotions, it was in either this heightened sense of adrenaline rush and external validation, whether that was teaching a high intensity class that everyone, eyes were on me and it was so pumped up and the adrenaline was just blaring, and then I would crash afterwards. So I would either feel it there or I'd feel it in this super, super low time where I had to feel worth because I had achieved something, or I had to appear like I had my shit together, and I really didn't. And so for the past, the first year after my mom passed, 2 years actually, I was struggling so hard. I was coaching all these I was coaching a ton of classes a week in these high intensity environments while also scrounging to make this podcast happen, scrounging to find nutrition clients. I would nanny a couple times a week and then go coach, and then I would try and coach all these boot camp classes at 5 a.m. Sometimes I would have a boot camp class that I would harass people to come to. Thank you so much if you did. And they'd be like $10 a boot camp or $5 a boot camp. I was like, anything you can do, just post it on social media, blah, blah, blah. And I was just trying to kind of get my foot in the door in the wellness community in Charleston. So I'd have, a 5 a.m. and a 6 a.m. boot camp. And then I wouldn't have anything until 5 p.m. So I'd have this whole day where I was just fraudulently trying to appear like I had my shit together when really on the inside I was bleeding out. So emotionally and physically bleeding out. So that was a tough 2 years, and then started to develop a little bit more of a routine, which was great. And with that routine came a bit more structure of how I was taking care of myself. And so I had a feeling that I was numb, but these really, really, really strong feelings of adrenaline and fight or flight would take over sometimes, to the point where I thought, oh my God, I'm feeling too much. But then I realized that it wasn't a feeling. It was just a heightened state that I was in. I was in this fear, this shock. And so I didn't have any happy medium between fight or flight, crazy adrenaline pumping, and super low borderline depression. And in between there was no joy. I would get so stressed out. I would be addicted to my phone and social media. I would be counting calories. I would be counting down every dollar that I had in my bank account, dividing it by 13 because we got paid every 2 weeks, and I'd be like, okay, I can only spend this much money per day, and oh my God, I've already spent that much money yesterday, so that's taking out, I can't save. I was just in such a crazy low lack mentality. I never knew where the next thing was going to come from. I felt so unsafe and ungrounded. If you're starting the day feeling regular, going to the bathroom, I'm telling you, these two things have been amplified. I've always been very regular, but when you're extra regular and you can also tell when it's even better, that is the holy grail. So I'll do my hydration, I'll do my greens powder, and then I'll do my coffee, but all of this would not be possible if it wasn't for Organifi. This is my favorite sponsor. You have heard it here before. So if you're struggling with any regularity, 2 things that I would highly recommend putting into your morning routine is their probiotics. They come in a little packet. They do not clump. I actually do my probiotic in my greens powder sometime, which is a game changer because you knock it out. It's so efficient, so effective, and you're already blending it up. So there's no powder. You chug it and you're done. You can take it on an empty stomach, but you're getting so many nutrients from the greens powder that you're good to go anyways. So I'll do that in the morning, and I'm so set for the rest of the day. I've noticed that since I'm filling in a lot of those nutritional gaps in the morning with the greens powder, that I automatically am having less crazy cravings throughout the day, because you start the day with your tanks kind of empty. But if you have your vitamins and your minerals and so many of your anti-inflammatory ingredients already set up for you in your first drink of the morning, then you're naturally set up to make better and healthier, more balanced decisions throughout the day. The two products that I would recommend from Organifi are the greens powder as well as their probiotics. They will ship directly to you, and using my code HTH, you will get 20% off of all products. There's a link in my bio. You can go to Organifi.com. It is the best organic whole food and supplementation company out there, and they are glyphosate free, non-GMO, organic, sugar free, just absolutely incredible. I recommend the greens powder and the probiotic, and Jack does too. He loves them. Sometimes I sprinkle the probiotic into his food, but he doesn't know. But he stays super regular, so that's fine. So use the code HTH for 20% off at checkout. If you want to, you can also go to Organifi.com/HTH for 20% off, especially if you are doing some last minute gift giving. That's what I would recommend, the greens powder and the probiotic, and of course the protein powder. I think we need to order some more anyways. All right, let's get into the episode. And I've used this analogy before. It's like someone had completely shaken my snow globe, and I had no idea what the picture at the bottom of the snow globe was even going to be. And I was just in this heightened sense of fight or flight. And the reason I felt so, at the same time, I felt so guilty because I thought, oh my fuck, I should be grieving my mom, but my own form of grieving. It's so true when they say everyone grieves differently. When my grieving was so numb. It was numb or heightened state of adrenaline. And I realized that the reason why I would only tap into the heightened state of adrenaline and external validation and fight or flight, I would only tap into those emotions and nothing else, because that was my homeostasis. So for a year and a half, when I was taking care of my mom, it was such a emotionally volatile and slightly narcissistic environment that I was in for so long. Everything was the rug was completely pulled out from under me. Quit my job, moved across the country, went from making like almost 6 figures 2 years out of college to paying 2 rents and having like $300 coming in a week, and just tap all my savings. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Didn't know how to ask for help. Didn't know what I was doing. And so I just went, faked it, adrenaline, numb, blah. Did that. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Would I? Well, I wouldn't change the lessons I have learned for the world, because in the past, and I'm not exaggerating this, and I'm an exaggerator. I think we can all attest to that. In the past 2 months, I have felt more myself and more in my worth and joyful than I have in 3.5 years. And if I had these tiny hands around me, I wish I was in a live studio audience, because I feel like this would be when everybody clapped. Like, oh my God, you did it. Yes. It's true. I have never felt so calm and secure and clear in what I wanted. And I want to talk to everyone, because not saying that everyone had to feel numb, not saying that anyone had to go through a crazy traumatic instance, or maybe they have remembered a traumatic instance, or they're in a relationship that's no longer serving them, or maybe they're just in a rut and you're feeling this numbness. But I want you to know that any little bit of work that you are doing to get yourself out of that, it is compounding, it is building, and it is worth it. There would be days where the only thing I could do for myself was go for a walk. And then the next day, maybe I didn't have time to go for a walk, but I would listen to a motivational or a productive podcast. Or maybe the next day I would go drop off, I don't know, like flowers at someone's house if there was a birthday. Just random little things, as long as I knew I was doing something every day to help get me out of my rut, even though I didn't know what my rut was. I didn't even know I was in a rut. I was like, this is life. I guess life is really fucking weird, and everyone else seems to be super happy and present, but I just wasn't. I was chronically anxious and living in the future, and then guilt from the past. It was a the dichotomy was so, what is the word I'm thinking of? It's so drastic. The dichotomy was drastic, where it was just either anxious with guilt that I could have done better taking care of my mom, so the past, and then there's anxiousness from the future, not knowing when the fuck I was going to get money again, not knowing why I couldn't be in love in these beautiful relationships that I was in. Like, I would break up with a guy. It happened twice that I broke up with a guy that I was dating for at least, the first guy I was dating was a year and a half, amazing human. Like, him and I have a great friendship now, but we broke up and I was fine the next day. And then obviously I jumped right into the next relationship because me, I just want to feel that adrenaline for a minute. We dated for like 7 or 8 months and we had some fun, but as soon as we broke up, I felt this weight off my shoulders because I was like, oh God, been carrying that. Again, great guy. It was just me. I was so numb. So of course I couldn't emotionally invest in anyone because I couldn't emotionally invest in anything. And it was only after that the work really began for me, and I started to really take into account what I was putting in my body and how stress was affecting my body. So some things that I did to really come out of my numbness were I actually, and I don't want to just put this on my old job. Like, I did quit my old job. There were a lot of things that were toxic about it for me, and I still take classes there. I love the people there. It just was not for me anymore. I outgrew it, and I am so much happier and better off. I wish them all the success in the whole world, but that is neither here nor there. I did quit my job, so I had a more consistent sleep schedule because I now create my own schedule. I started to be more intentional with my workouts, where I would, if I was feeling super tired that day, I wasn't going to do a crazy intense workout class. I would go for a long walk, or I would do hot yoga, or I would just walk, or I would sleep. Walking has kind of been my crack for the past 3 years. But I slowed down my workouts and I was more intentional. And then on days where I really felt energetic, but not from an adrenaline standpoint, I wouldn't just do it to impress someone, even though my body didn't really want to. I had to really start to realize, like, okay, am I doing this workout to impress someone, or am I doing this because I'm in this heightened state of anxiety, or it's like a fake energy? But if I really had the energy for it, I slept well, I wasn't on a weird part of my cycle where I shouldn't be working out like that, and I just really started to tap into those things. And the more I listened to my body, the better I could understand it. It was like learning another language. And the more I practiced learning it, the more it would throw me a bone. And the gratification would be a little bit faster, and it would just be clearer. I also stopped being extremely rigid about money and food. And what I mean by that is again, like I said before, I was like counting every dollar bill and dividing it because I didn't know the next time I was going to get paid. And then I realized the more I'm doing that, the more I'm keeping myself in this lack mentality. And like, it's easy for me to say that because I've listened to so many podcasts and I've done so much research and done all these programs on manifestation and how to stay in your own self-worth. And a lot of that comes with lack mentality. So I would recognize these portions of my life where I was living in lack. So I was living in lack with money. So what I started doing was I would actually, like, instead of just saving all my pennies and not saying, oh, I can't go out to eat tonight because I don't have the money for it for next week, I was always living in the future. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I have a credit card. And again, this is just my personal story. I'm not saying go out and buy a Maserati if you can't afford it. But little things, like if friends were going out to dinner, I said, okay, I'm going to go to dinner and I'm going to have a good time because that is where I'm living in lack. And when I would do those things and it felt right to go do those things, I would end up meeting someone that night that had a good opportunity for me. Or I would just end up having a really good time that night. And then the next day, I would be in such a good mood because I had had like my social cup filled. And I would be in such a good mood the next day that I was extra magnetic and charismatic, and people were attracted to that. And that's when those consultation calls would start to flow in. I would randomly get podcast sponsors. All of these little things started to trickle in. The more that I started listening to myself, the more that I started leaning away from that lack mentality, and I just started to trust that the universe had my back. I had kind of gotten to a point where I was like, honestly, fuck it. What's going to happen? I mean, what's I feel like basically the worst thing that could have happened has happened. And if I can endure that and learn from it, then I can only go up from here. Obviously, other terrible things can happen. I am fully aware of that. Life happens every single day. Again, I could be gone tomorrow, but as we speak and all of that. And so things like that. And then I did an acupuncture session, and she basically reaffirmed a lot of things that I had been thinking in my own mind, and she gave me some practices. I started meditating. I started doing more Joe Dispenza meditations, which are these deep, intense meditations. They would be like 25 to 30 minutes long, and I reduced my caffeine. I reduced my processed sugar, and recently, as of very recently, I mean the past 2 or 3 weeks, I have really cut back on alcohol. I haven't had alcohol in about 3 weeks, and I feel fucking amazing. And I feel like I'm addicted now to waking up without a hangover. And honestly, I grabbed a bottle of wine to cook some mushrooms in last night as a, I don't know, freaking flambe. I don't know what it's called. But I used red wine reduction, thank you. And I didn't want it. Usually I'd be like, oh, that actually looks kind of nice. I had zero desire for it. And I've been ordering mocktails, and I've still been social. I'll do a kombucha. We were at a brewery the other night, and I feel great. And that's obviously temporary. If there's some time when I'm, my sister and we're going to see each other for the first time in a few months, and I can't wait. I'm sorry, a few weeks. But we're going to go have a glass of wine the night that we see each other, and I'm so excited for that. So if it's something that's going to elevate a situation, I was just doing it because I was in such a heightened state of anxiety that's when I would decide to socially drink. I would like take a couple shots before I went out somewhere because I was nervous to even be around people, because I don't know why. It's just anxiety. You kind of can't explain it. And that's where I am right now. I did an energy healing session with my friend Ashley. She was on the podcast, and one exercise that she told me to do while we were working together, she said, when you think about, oh my God, you guys are going to get goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now. And that's not just because I'm drinking a cold drink, which is not normal for me. I never drink cold drinks, but today I am, because I told you I'm on one. I have not had caffeine today. I told you I had a decaf latte, but I am just so inspired. I'm so glad I decided to do this episode. Holy shit, I hope you guys are not listening to this on fast forward. Okay, let me take a breath. I was doing this energy healing session, and she said, okay, I don't remember how she phrased it. She's a wordsmith, and I'm sure it was much more articulate than this. But she asked me to create, what did she ask me to do? She said, okay, if you're feeling this anxiety, where on your body do you feel it? And if you could give it a shape or a structure, what would it be? And oh my God, you guys are going to lose your mind. And so I was laying down on my back, and I knew exactly where I felt my anxiety and my tension, and I felt it on my chest and within my jaw. So kind of around like my throat chakra area. So basically from the nip to my ears. And I thought of this image of a bell, like a big metal bell, a dinner bell that you would see outside of a farm or outside of a church that would be swinging Quasimodo style, Hunchback of Notre Dame, just ding dong, massive iron bell. And it was this rusted gold color, and I pictured it as the weight on my chest. And it was just the first shape that came into my mind. I don't know why. I don't have bells all over the place. But I focused on that, and I immediately, she did some of her Reiki magic, and, she put her hands over me, and I don't know what she did, but I embodied and I felt this bell on my chest, and then it felt like it released. And as soon as I started telling her about what I was feeling, I told her that I believed that I was storing resentment for other reasons we don't have to talk about, storing resentment and crazy anxiety and harboring that and self-doubt. And she said that that had been cleared, which I believe. I believe that it's mostly cleared. I don't think it's all the way cleared, but I think that I just really notice a difference. But about the bell, it was the first image that came to my mind. And as soon as I started thinking about the bell, I remember that one year for Christmas, my stepdad, they had a farmhouse in Virginia for a few years, and it was beautiful. And my stepdad got my mom a giant iron bell to be hung outside of the house. It was like 75 acres huge, so you would ring the dinner bell. It was just more of an aesthetic thing. It was just a nice gesture and thoughtful gift. And I remember he bought this for her. She also named her bicycle Bell on Wheels. And her favorite color was yellow, and this bell that I had been looking at on my chest or envisioning was a dark yellow golden bell, and yellow was always the color that represented to her. And I told you, I remember it was in my chest area, my jaw, and my throat. And then my sister just had a baby. She's 3 months old today, and her name is Belle, Belle, Baby Belle. And my mom, she passed of a rare form of thyroid cancer, which is around in the throat area. All of these things, again, goosebumps. All of these things came together in such a way, and I felt like for the first time I had pieced together everything that I had been thinking about, and it all came together, and it had been manifesting in this shape and this heaviness and this tension on my chest. It was this giant bell that I felt like someone had picked up, lifted off of me, and I could fully breathe. For the past 3 years, I feel like I have been in a constant exhale where I couldn't catch a full breath, and I was in this, I keep saying the word anxiety, but I really mean it. And that energy healing session was so monumental. I felt so pleased about that. But then I think that it really led me into so many other practices that have been beneficial for me. So more yoga, more walking, more slow and intentional weight training, but I still do my sprints because I feel powerful and good and individual and in my power. And it has made me so much more conscious of what I'm eating. And I feel like I used to eat a meal and then I would automatically think, okay, let me go check the fridge and make sure there's nothing else I can snack on after that meal. And I haven't been doing that as much. My intuition is just that I know how much food I need and I know how to make it balanced, and I'm eating things that I enjoy, which means that, I'm still not eating like dairy or gluten or meat, but I'm eating more pastas and salmon and things that I enjoy. And I feel great. And I'm so pumped. And then after that, I did do a Excellence in Speaking Institute. It's actually our family run business, and my aunt took it over, and they had been trying to get my sister and I to take these classes since we were out of the fucking womb. We have known about these seminars for forever, and finally I just got this ping, and I tell you, I have just been so clear with my intuition lately after so much work and so much recognition and healing and therapy and meditation and acupuncture, and I'm telling you guys, it is a journey and it's not over. I just know that it's starting to work. Like, I was just throwing shit at a wall hoping it would stick, but now I feel like it's actually starting to stick. And I did this seminar, and it was a 3-day course of learning how to communicate effectively. There was no social media. There was no projectors. It was pen, paper, presentations, and people. There were only 12 people in our class. We ended up, it was like the therapy and the medicine for the 21st century that none of us knew we needed. And it teaches you how to present and speak more articulately, and how to tell a story, and how to just deliver yourself as a human being, not just professionally, but authentically. And this is something that it's not just for professionals, it's not just for podcasters, it's not just for anyone. There were people who owned moving companies. There were people that owned that worked in the food industry. There wasn't one type of person there, and it changed my life. If you want to know more about it, let me know, but I'm telling you, it was the most cathartic, healing, transformational. Every single person in that room had a transformation. Every single person in that room had a transformation, including myself. That's all I'll say about that. And all of this is to say that if you're on a journey of figuring out, and again, I've said in past podcasts that I hate the word journey. It's so 2020 and just like, oh my God, I just found out what Canva and Instagram was for the first time. Did you want to make a reel about your fitness journey? No, I don't like the word journey, but it's true. If you have been working on your mental health, if you've been working on your body, if you're in a rut, if you are in this stage in your life where you're feeling like you're just going through the motions, you're not finding joy, keep going with the small changes you can make throughout the day that are for you, whether it is therapy, energy healing, yoga, walks. A big thing that helped me is journaling in the morning. And again, these are cavalier things that you might think are just every hippie nutritionist is going to say it and any millennial is going to say it, but journaling has been amazing. Less time on social media, and it really lets you sit with these emotions. And the more you allow these emotions to come through, the more you're going to be able to kind of piece together and have that aha moment. And I don't think I would have been able to have that real aha moment with the bell on my chest leading me into all these other decisions, which have been so beneficial for me, leading me to drinking less, leading me to less caffeine, but feeling more energized than ever. Can you tell? I feel like I just snorted 40 pounds of crack before I got on this podcast. And all of these things to say that the small habits that you continually integrate into your life are going to reinforce the person and the character of the person that you want to embody. It behooves you to continue learning about yourself and understanding the process that you are going through. Wow. God, you should have heard me record that yesterday. I think that it took me twice as long, and the pauses were way longer, and it was just, I'm telling you, it was a little boring. There wasn't as much vocal variety, and I just said to myself, no. I went to this 3-day seminar. We talked all about public speaking. It is in my blood. Give me some vocal variety. No more vocal fry. Less crazy pauses. More breath. More intention. We're going to rock this out again. All right. Can't wait to completely edit these. You know what I'm going to do after this? I think I'm going to go get my nails done, which I never ever do. I'm going to get my toes done. I'm going to edit this damn podcast. Anyways, I wanted to just share that whole fat story with you, which basically takes up the entire podcast. But I also wanted to give you a few tips and wellness products to bring you into 2022. As I live and breathe at my desk right now, I have 3 things that I recommend to everybody. Okay, are we ready for this? One of them, it is a Windows wireless mouse. My sister got this for me 2 years ago for Christmas. Shout out Alexa, you won't listen to this until 2022 because you have a baby and you're very busy. But this Arc mouse, that's what it's called. An Arc mouse, ARC, Microsoft. Not a sponsor. Oh my God, could you imagine if they were a sponsor? Money. Okay, so it's called the Arc mouse, ARC. So if you have a laptop or you move around with your computer at all, you need this mouse. It folds up. It looks like a little cell phone when you use it. You click it into a curved shape, so it's ergonomic for your wrist, and it's changed my life. It's soft, it's matte, I love it. I use it for the little Surface that I travel with, and then I also use it for my MacBook that I use for work and shit like that. The Arc Microsoft mouse. I also recommend any photos that you have on your phone that you love and that you are like, oh, but what do I do with these photos? I want to see them all the time, but I have to scroll all the way back. FrameBridge. Again, not a sponsor, manifesting. FrameBridge is incredible. I had this beautiful picture of my mom when she was probably in her 20s, and she's just got these amazing, gorgeous dark eyebrows. She's wearing a turtleneck, and she's just this ethereal, graceful, maternal picture of femininity, and the color is just amazing. But I got it framed on FrameBridge, and all you have to do is pick the frame, you upload a photo, and they send it to you framed and hung, and it's gorgeous. I'm telling you, FrameBridge, if you haven't gotten on board, do it already. And if you get onto FrameBridge, wait a couple of days or sign up for their newsletter or something, because they always do hella deals. They're really, really great, and they deliver super quickly. The next thing is something that I've gotten a few people for Christmas. This is great for stocking stuffers, for anyone who has a desk, or anyone who is like kind of on a wellness journey but wants it to be aesthetic, you know? I have Black Tourmaline, and I just did a reel on Instagram. So a lot of these products will be on there, except for the mouse and the FrameBridge. These are kind of just things I'm making up right now, but I use them every day. Black Tourmaline, let me tell you Black Tourmaline. Black Tourmaline is a crystal, and it is black, it's shiny, it's badass, almost gothic looking. I am obsessed with it. And I was going to tell you about another one. This might be amethyst. I don't know. God, Liza, you're terrible at this. But the Black Tourmaline, let me tell you about this. Someone handed it to me one day, and I was like, okay, thank you so much. You know what? I lied to you. I just lied. I literally am a liar. I listened to an episode of The Skinny Confidential, and they had on Spencer Pratt from The Hills. We all remember Spencer Pratt with like the chipmunk cheeks, but I always had a soft spot for him because I was like, he has trauma and anger issues, but something about him that I think is funny. And he has his own crystal business, and he's like, has 45 crystals around his ball sack at all times. He has crystals all the time. And he's obsessed with them. He's like kissing them, rubbing them on his forehead. If he gets mad, he just like squeezes the crystals. It's kind of funny. And he was talking about Black Tourmaline. I said, okay, I bite. And I went to a crystal shop, and I got 5 different pieces of Black Tourmaline. They can fit in the palm of your hand. And then I got one amethyst. And I say amethyst. It's like a yellow looking one, I think. But the first day I used this, I was on a flight to Boston with my friend Taylor. Shout out Tay. We were on a flight to Boston for her birthday, and then I was going to go see baby Belle and my sister. I had it in my pocket all day long. I wasn't ovulating or anything. I was not in a space of my cycle where I was just like feeling myself hormonally. It was actually, I think I was on my period, so it was like a bloaty kind of week. And so oh my God, Jack. Oh my God, he just farted so bad. And I can tell because he just lifted up on one side and it burns. Oh my God, it's so horrible. No edits. I was holding on to this crystal. I put it in my pocket all day long. I had a leather jacket on, felt like a bad bitch. And I put this crystal in my pocket. I get to the airport, and I have my name called at the front desk. And we're flying American Airlines. I know that some shit's about to go wrong. I'm just kind of waiting for it. I get there, and I'm like, all right, sister, where are you moving me? What do we need to do? Am I sitting under the plane? Do I have to get on another flight? What's going on? She said, no, actually, Miss Gelman. It's wrong. She said, no, you actually were upgraded to business class. We have more space available. I said, what? So I sit in business class on that flight, gave my little rock crystal a squeeze, said thank you, and I had extra leg room, and there was no one in the seat next to me. It was awesome. And then, get this. So we show up to the hotel. It's my girl Taylor's birthday. We're trying to do it up. We have dinner that night. We're so excited. We're already in a good mood. We get to the front. They're like, oh, actually, there's been a change in your room. It's like, oh, gosh. We're sharing a twin. And she said, no, we're upgrading you to like a waterfront suite with a king bed instead of a queen. So Taylor and I are like chest bumping and high-fiving, and this is awesome. And this is, I attribute all of this to the fact that I had been carrying around this black tourmaline crystal with me all day. And what it does is it absorbs negative energy. And I think that I would actually prefer something to absorb the negative energy instead of put out positive energy, because I feel like I carry around positive energy anyways. So if I already have this kind of force field of just absorbing the negative energy and just tossing it away, then I feel extra powerful. I think it's amazing. It's letting me vibrate extra high, right? So that's something that I would highly recommend getting. I have a couple for different little people. They're on little velvet pouches. I love them. A couple other things that I would recommend that are on my reel on Instagram that you can check out. There's a game called We're Not Really Strangers. And please, someone get this for me. Jake, I hope you're listening. But it is a game that it's more like intensive topic cards where there might be a question where someone asks, everyone go around the table and say something about this person that you think people are too scared to tell them. So it could either be like that, or you could say, what is the most proud you've ever been of this person? Or what is the craziest things that's ever happened to you? It's like topic cards, but more intensive, and you usually play with a group of people. And again, it's called Not Really Strangers. We're Not Really Strangers. I highly recommend getting that one. And what is the other one that I was talking about? Oh, shit. Oh, of course, the Organifi greens powder. I genuinely use it every single day. Use the code HTH for 20% off. I'm not exaggerating. I use it all the time. Some other things that I would recommend would be silicone straws. If you're one of those people that is not great with drinking water, having some silicone straws that they're actually a bigger mouth, so you get more water per pull, if you will, because any other straw is basically a cocktail straw, let me tell you. And right now, you can probably hear it. Ding, ding. I have a metal straw in my mason jar, but yes, definitely recommend silicone straws, a face roller, a gua sha. I use a jade gua sha. I think it's from Mount Lanai is the brand. Again, just go check out my reel on Instagram. Basically, this whole story was just me telling you that you need to go buy a crystal at a crystal store and make sure that it's not a phony one, and make sure that if you rub your crystal on a piece of table, the fuck raised me. If you rub your crystal on a piece of paper or on wood or something, maybe even concrete outside, and you see black come off, then you know it's a freaking imposter and you have been duped. So make sure you're getting your refund. It's not real black tourmaline. Black tourmaline's really, really hard, and the color doesn't come off, obviously, because it's a real crystal. But I have those set up around my work desk. I have it set up in my pockets. I travel with them. I love them. I'm gifting them for everyone, and they'll probably lose them within 2.5 seconds, but just don't give them to children. They'll probably swallow them. Those are my wellness tips for 2021, 2022. I would really highly recommend everyone get these things for themselves. Again, the Arc Microsoft mouse. I have mine in like a light blue gray color. If I could do it again, I'd probably do the same color, because white I think would get too dirty and black would fade and look gray and gnarly. The frame bridge, absolutely the best gift ever. I did it for a couple of people this year. Black tourmaline, my best friend. Carry it in your pockets. And We're Not Really Strangers, the game, as well as the greens powder. And I'm sure some other things that I said that I forgot, but that's okay. Well, this has gone on far too long. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Make sure if you are feeling lazy, just click onto the show notes. I have a link already prepared. All you have to do is click on it, leave it 5 stars, and write us a review, and that would be the greatest holiday gift. It is the gift that keeps on giving, because that means more people can find the episode. All right. I hope everyone has the best week. Happy Thursday. Ugh.